Hi! The Christmas is just around the corner, so I thought I would use this opportunity and say, I don't like Christmas sweaters. I think it's one of the most impractical pieces of clothing there is. You wear it once and then store it until next year, potentially forgetting about it altogether and buying a new one. But I think I've got at least an A solution. Let's make it happen.
To make my decorations, I bought a variety of Christmas-themed offcuts, which all look very nice, but they're awfully thin. This means that I'll need to use something to help them hold the shape. Luckily, my kids have been ripping their playmat for a long time now, so it's time for an upgrade anyway. It's made of some kind of foam. It's lightweight, thin, it can be folded, unfolded, and it holds its shape nicely. Just perfect. So I'll be making a Christmas tree, and this foam is so easy to work with that once I've got an outline, I can simply cut it out with some scissors. Perfect. Christmas trees are generally green, so I picked out an appropriate piece of fabric from the selection I had. When making an outline, I'm trying to steer clear from that Santa. I don't want to go on his naughty list. Here. Now, if I want to even stand the chance of impressing anybody with my decorations, I need to beef them up with some electronics. So I'll be writing some code into this microcontroller to control a few blinking LEDs. I don't want to cover the code in great detail in this video, not to bore everybody, but I don't want to skip it altogether either. So let me demo a small portion of the code, which could run as a standalone program animating the LEDs. If you're new to this, I'm in Arduino development environment, and I need to tell the program which pins on the board I intend to use. That's the numbers after the equal sign. Now don't worry about the following code, there's a lot going on, but don't be intimidated, it's just a sum of simple constructs and components, not even related to what I'm about to show you. So the pattern I want to cover is shown on the screen. I called it a snake because it reminded me of the old phone game. The LEDs light up one after another and then get turned off in the same sequence. The first line is the only clever thing in the entire block of code. It's a fairly standard way of implementing a counter of desired duration. Mine counts up every 10th of a second from 0 to 11 and then starts over. The value of the counter is stored in a variable which I called snake state. Now the rest of the code looks at this variable and says, okay, so what's its value? In case it's a 0, keep all the LEDs low or turned off. In case it's a 1, turn one of them on. In case it's a 2, turn 2, and so forth. And this check is done every millisecond. And there you have it, that's the entire code controlling the snake pattern. I'm sure there are viewers who wanted to code at some point or another, but were hesitant because they thought it was hard. Hopefully my demo shows that there's nothing to be afraid of after all. Just go for it, and you'll be surprised how much fun it is. As for me, I need to compile the code into the microcontroller. And the blue flashing LED signifies that the process completed successfully. And with that done, I can start hooking up the rest of the electronics. But first though, I'm marking the approximate positions of the LEDs, just so I know the length of the wires I need to prepare. I'm deliberate in choosing the placement for the colored LEDs, and I'm keeping track of the exact pins we need to connect onto the microcontroller. So I've soldered one end of each wire to the microcontroller. The other will go to the positive terminal of the LEDs, like so. I also want to hook up this push button, which I placed on a square of the error board. It will help hold the button in place, as you will see in just a couple of moments. So the reason I want to have a button is that it will cycle through the different LED operating modes. I've programmed in a few. You can also see that I added current limiting resistors to the other side of the LEDs, just waiting for a common ground wire to be connected. As for the power source, for obvious reasons I was looking for something flat, and I came up with this little box. It will hold two 3V coin batteries, which will be enough to power the microcontroller together with all 6 of my LEDs. And it comes with a power switch. There, looking good already. I just need to make a little hole in the foam for the push button to go through. A perfect fit. And the variable does a great job of stopping the button from going anywhere. The LEDs also need to go through, but we of course need a much smaller hole. And it's shaping up nicely. I'm at the stage where I can hide the electronics, and I've got a back cover for that. I'm just using plenty of double tape to help me attach it. As you can see, I cut the cover out of the same foam. I just left a little hole to access the batteries, in case I ever need to change them. Next, I'm placing double tape on the front side too. It will help prevent the decorative fabric from sliding. Now experience taught me to never fully trust glue, so I'll be stitching around the edges to make sure that everything stays exactly where we need to. Much better. Let's just release the LEDs now. I'm careful not to make too big of a hole, that would be disastrous at this point. And after I push the LED through, I tuck the fabric around it with something pointy, but not too sharp. And that leaves me with one step, attaching Velcro coins. And these are perfect, because they're self-adhesive. Velcro will stick nicely to my sweater, but if that's not the case with your clothing, you can use a safety pin instead. Let's take a look. I need to admit, it exceeded my expectation. I'm really liking the shade of green the fabric came in, and I'm really eager to see the LEDs in action. Oh, and here's the little dude. I've added one last touch. And so let's get those lights on. Ta-da! There are a few modes. All LEDs blink at once. They fade in and out at once. They blink one after another. The same with fading. There's a snake pattern you saw in the code. And then all modes cycle every 5 seconds. And the next year, or when you're bored, you just need to reshuffle the elements. And now you're brand new, ready to hit that Christmas party. So get creative, and if you enjoyed the video, like, subscribe, and have a very Merry Christmas.